for the next one, Dom, get a partner, please.
Stop ordering white people off of Wish.com.
Yes,
wow.
No more Wish.com white people.
Wow.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Heroes Peak podcast. I am your host, Chris, and here with my friends, and we're going to talk about entertainment, culture, and whatever the hell we feel like. With me today, of course, are a few people. As you can see, we're a little out of practice. We're a little 2 weeks late. We missed the Father's Day podcast. Happy Father's Day, a little late to everybody. With me
Father's
today,
Day to everyone.
Brooksy, how you doing, Brooks?
Great. I'm doing good. To borrow one of Keith's phrases, I've been raw dogging air for 2 weeks now, and it feels spectacular.
Yeah, you're in a little dip there. Everybody else is burning around you. You found
raw dogging hot air.
No, I'm raw dogging regular air, not hot. Feels
found
good.
The cold part of the oven to stand in.
Yep.
Okay. And James, how you doing, James?
Hey man, I listen to my podcast a quarter mile at a time, man. 10 seconds flat.
I don't know how that works. Okay. We're moving on. Mike, how you doing, Mike?
All right, and me, I'm just living my life a quarter pounder at a time.
And I'm just living La Vida Loca. All right. So we got a few things we're going to be talking about today. We're going to talk about the NBA playoffs in our culture segment. We are going to talk about Into the Heights. And finally, we're going to finish up on Fast and Furious 9. F9 just came out to theaters. Woo! Wow, that was a ride. That's for damn
like
sure.
FU9.
F me 9. What? All right. Let us talk NBA playoffs. Now we're all talking Brooklyn Nets, right? They made it. You guys told me last time that they were the top team.
Brooklyn Nets and the LA Lakers.
They were just gonna wipe the floor, everybody.
Just like Vegas expected.
What am I missing? Am I missing something?
No, I think Vegas predicted this all along. It's gonna be the Lakers, LeBron, back-to-back champs against Kevin Durant and the upstarting Rebel Alliance that was Brooklyn Nets.
The Rebel Alliance.
Unfortunately, that's not how Vegas is living right now. They lost a lot of money because the outcome of that is instead we have the opportunity to see some teams that have never been to the NBA Finals. LA Clippers, looking at you, Atlanta Hawks, and teams that haven't been in the finals since before any of us was born. The Bucks was 73. Yeah, I wasn't born then. And Phoenix has also never won a championship, but they have been to the NBA Finals in '93.
I was gonna say, wasn't Barkley?
Yeah, it's the last time they were in NBA Finals was Barkley.
Jeez. So
people were scared that the ratings would drop tremendously because you don't have any of those marquee iconic teams, like New York Knicks. Mm-hmm. Keith, where you at? But
the Knicks who are never in the playoffs.
We're never in the playoffs, but everybody swears it's America's team.
That's the Cowboys. What are you talking about?
For basketball.
Oh, okay.
His team, the New York Knicks.
I've never heard that before. Like, I think you're making that up.
Man, Google it.
I will.
Do that. I
fact check me, Mike, while we will continue in this segment.
I can't. We're on a sports blackout here because the Habs are in the Stanley Cup Finals. So
you've had a very bad.
We're not allowed to watch anything else.
That's right.
But speaking of teams that were up 3-1 and freaking collapse, you gotta say the Nets. Who else was up 3-1 and collapse? There's a couple of teams that had great opportunity during the playoffs to win, but they either terrible coaching or just terrible, team chemistry. None of those teams were able to make it, and I'm hoping this doesn't happen to the Suns, who at the moment were up 3-1 until.
Did you get a jersey yet?
No, I did not. I'm not jinxing any of these teams. I'd be happy if the Bucks. Right now, the Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals. I should have started by telling you who's still left. It's the Milwaukee Bucks right now playing against the Atlanta Hawks in the Eastern Conference Finals. And
Trae Young, big name in that one, right?
big name. He's having a shout out season. Although he's been a star, or I should say, not an all-star, but he's been a widely known player in the league since he started about 2 years ago or so. People call him the next Steph Curry because of his propensity of shooting. So you've got Giannis, back-to-back MVP, who is one of those superstars that you just love because you hear his backstory, hear what he had to overcome just to get in his own country, in Greece, before he got into the NBA. So you root for a team like that. And then you've had on the West Coast, you have the powerhouse that is the Phoenix Suns with the KG old veteran as Chris Paul, who's probably the oldest active star in the NBA, other than LeBron, because they came in around the same year. And Melo decides to continue to keep playing ball. And then you have the LA Clippers, which is a anomaly of its own right. It was a team that was kind of put together 2 years ago when Mike's favorite guy who got him a championship for Toronto, Kawhi Leonard, decided to go back to his home county, his home city, LA, and then recruited Paul George, who's also from the area, to come play with them. They tried to form their own super team. And whether it's been injuries or just terrible coach and 3-1 collapse, they've never been able to make past the hump. And then this year, everybody was expecting Clippers and Lakers showdown. That didn't happen. But the Clippers are still technically alive, playing against the Suns, trying to overcome a 3-1 deficit themselves.
Well, it's a 3-2 deficit now.
Now it's a 3-2. Yeah, it was 3-1. And this is like the third series they've had to face a 3-1 elimination. This is the third series that they're facing 3-1 elimination, now 3-2. So Vegas is also sweating because of Vegas, they're fluctuating the market, the margins, and now they're like, if this shit happens again, it won't be cool for the sports bettors in Vegas. But I think I hit the high level NBA summary. Brooks, anything else you wanted to add on that besides your Lakers?
Now they're my Lakers. Now that they're not in the playoffs.
They're now your Lakers.
Thank you.
I release them.
Gladly,
like Aragorn and Lord of the Rings. I release you.
And I will gladly take them back. And I will make sure everybody, Keith, Jai, you all listen to this podcast and know they are now my Lakers again.
Yes. And Jai, the Nets are no longer my team either. Jai, I dropped them too.
He's dropping the Nets.
I fact checked the Knicks being the America's team, and I could not find anything on Google to back that up. The closest of anything about America's team for NBA I found was actually the Lakers, which I don't agree with either. But there was some mention of that, zero mention of the Knicks being it. Just wanted to fact check that.
Because much like the Cowboys, if you're not a Lakers fan, you just hate that team.
That's all right.
I'm pretty sure. Like they're just that team that most people, because they win so much. Like the Patriots have kind of taken that over because they win so much. The Yankees, everybody hates the Yankees.
Yeah, everybody hates the Yankees. Yeah. All right, thanks for that correction.
All right, and one more bit of sports news. If you've been watching, the Olympic trials have been going on, and those some fun watches. If you go onto YouTube, you can see a lot of the big upcoming stars, the track and field, the swimming. Katie Ledecky's back. The gymnastics. Simone Biles is back. We're just having fun watching these really talented people, mostly really young people, come up and get their due. I'm really excited. I love the Olympics. I love watching the Olympics.
What's probably funny? What's being watched more in the Olympics at the moment is a Euro Cup.
That's also playing. Is that where USA beat Mexico?
No, that's in Copa.
Copa America.
Yeah, but England beating Germany today, you'd be surprised how it work stopped in a lot of different in corporate America just to watch those games for either expatriates or just people invested in international soccer, and those two have had it since World War II. No pun intended.
I think soccer is getting a little bit more traction in the U.S., especially with all the ESPN levels that you can get. So you don't have to hope that ESPN plays you a soccer match. You can now just kind of watch it whenever for for fans, and people go to bars and watch. So,
and usually us selfish Americans, we only care about the women's because they're winners, and the guys are not. So
right,
much
that's right.
Winners.
If you're a winner, then you're
yeah.
good. Then
so the women are getting a lot of attention, although not equal pay. But now that the men are somewhat, I won't say they're internationally acclaimed, but they're competitive. Yes. So the men get some eyes too.
That's right. Yeah. We want some competitiveness out of our teams. So
that rounds it up.
Yeah, we'll see if they qualify for Qatar. So
Qatar.
All right.
That's gonna be hot.
Can we do can we just all go around and say who we think is going to win for basketball for NBA?
Oh, okay.
So you put me in a
who do you think's going finals?
No, who do you think's going to win the championship? Well, I guess we could go finals and then championship because we're like a couple of games away from the finals.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait till the finals before I say anything.
You gotta wait until it's down to 2, so you don't have to pick out of the 4.
He's gonna wait by the weekend. He's gonna wait by the weekend.
The highlights that I've seen is that the Suns are really solid, man. Those guys are kicking ass, taking names. I know they just lost the last game, but man, that's without having the hugest names in the world, as a tertiary fan of basketball, like they're kind of the Spurs. I know Robinson was a huge name, but the Spurs were that kind of championship team that you didn't feel like there was, it didn't have an MJ or a Magic Johnson.
And they have a very cagey veteran that's kind of leading them, although he's not the best player anymore. It's good analogy, Spurs.
Mm-hmm. That's an interesting analogy. Yeah, I'm actually also going with the Suns. Devin Booker has been lighting it up. He definitely just killed the Lakers in that series until Pat Bev broke his nose.
Is that why he's got to wear that face-off mask, looking at John Travolta and Nicolas Cage?
Yeah, that's why I feel like he just hasn't been playing well since then. But I'm also going with the Suns. So weird that I agreed with Chris in sports.
I'm gonna say the Bucks. I'm really gonna say the Bucks, and I'm afraid of my jinx. So I'm crossing my fingers, as I'm saying this out loud on live air. But I think the Bucks. Although I'm not a fan of Coach Budenholzer's coaching, I think only Steve Nash was worse, and Doc Rivers to a certain extent with the Sixers, which we didn't even talk about, but that's neither here nor there. I think Giannis is reaching that level where, he's like, there's no answer for him. If you look at both the Suns and Clippers, there's no answer for Giannis. But to Keith's point, who's not here, if you can get Middleton hot, then that team becomes like a Golden State Warriors super team. Like, you can't stop. You can't outscore that team if Middleton's hot and Giannis is not hurt. The Suns, you can stop the Suns if you can get either Chris Paul or Devin Booker in foul trouble, or, you switch up the defense, which unfortunately the Bucks coach is terrible at doing that. So that might lean back towards the Suns. Like, he couldn't figure out the Hawks zone defense. And I'm sitting there like, we did that in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade as coach. But, gun to my head, 7-game series, which is probably going to be, I'm not going to say it's in 5. I'm going with Giannis. I'm going with the Bucks.
Okay. That's fair.
So my pick is...
Things are crossed, by the way.
My pick is 15 other teams that were in the playoffs this year will be eliminated for doping, and the Knicks will win the championship by
doping. I don't. So does that mean you're mailing those papers to the league right now?
That's right.
Mike still heard from Toronto's collapse.
I have proof from the MyPillow guy. Just wait.
Well, good thing you're up in Toronto, and it's going to take like 25 days to get to the NBA via boat.
If you can afford shipping.
Which is hilarious. The NBA's office is in New York. Still going to take him 25 days.
Yeah, right. It's got to go by boat, right?
Yep.
That's right. Going around the Arctic Circle.
Yeah.
All right. We are going to take a break, and when we come back, Into the Heights. No, I can't sing it.
It's just in the Heights.
Yeah, it is
By
In
the
the
way.
Heights. Yeah.
In the Heights? Into
Just in the Heights.
Into the Heights was something
Heights.
you were catching in Pornhub.
Oh, look at that. I've been saying it wrong. All right, everybody. We're back, and we're here to talk about In the Heights. In the Heights, which is the
so nasty
live action. I don't know. The live action version of the stage play from Lin-Manuel Miranda, written by
motion picture version of the music.
Motion picture. There you go. Motion picture version of the stage play by
Right.
Lin-Manuel Miranda. Also with writing and production by Lin-Manuel Miranda, and the other writer. You see, I was saying it so well in my head.
You're saying American names right now.
Kiera Algeria Hudes. Directed by John M. Chu. What?
Nothing. Go ahead.
Nothing.
Directed
John
by
M. Chu. What did you say?
John
MQ?
M. Chu.
Oh, I thought I heard you say Q.
Chu.
Bless you.
Jeez. Oh my gosh. All right. Starring Anthony Ramos, Corey Hawkins, Leslie Grace, Jimmy Smits, Olga Melendez, and a large cast of well performed cast. This is a live action musical. I keep saying live action, but this is a musical from top stem to stern. This thing was great. I loved watching it. I had a lot of fun. But I'm going to start with the queen of the pod, Brooksy. Having seen the stage production, you are the expert here. Tell us what In the Heights is about, and then tell us your thoughts on In the Heights.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
You've heard of this. You've seen this, right? You know what that is.
It is unavoidable. It is your destiny.
Is this not why you are here?
Do or do not. There is no try.
Knock that shit off.
So I'm trying to remember when I actually saw the musical on Broadway, which whenever it came out is when I saw it. 10, 15, 11 years ago, something along those lines. I also lived in Washington Heights for 15 years of my life. And so I feel like in that way, I kind of know the neighborhood intimately in a lot of ways, not as well as like Lin Miranda, who is from Inwood, which if you don't know is right above Washington Heights, but which is where James used to live. It's all kind of one sort of blended neighborhood. So I really enjoyed this musical a lot. I felt like it really captured, like I said, the soul and the essence of the Heights. Like, it was also filmed all around, like probably in a 5-block radius of where I lived for 15 years. So I thought it was really important that they actually filmed in Washington Heights in the neighborhood. They used like stores in the neighborhood. So there was nothing, or I shouldn't say nothing because I don't actually know, but it wasn't, like stage somewhere else where they actually don't have any background of Washington Heights. Like everything that they showed is real background, real Washington Heights. So I want to just say that because I think it's really important. They used a lot of local vendors, a lot of local like people in the Heights, and that was really, really important. And there was a lot of buzz about it in the neighborhood, how big of a deal it was, because people will come to the Heights and film, but bring like their camera crew or bring, whoever from other neighborhoods. But this film really focused on using people in the neighborhood or like employing people, I should say, in the neighborhood. So I think that's really important. It was really similar to the musical in a lot of ways, except one big way, which there was one big miss, which we can get into in a second. And it really just, I think it focused on like, like younger kids in Washington Heights and kind of their story and their struggle. And like, it's kind of like a coming of age story. So overall, like I said, I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it really did the neighborhood justice, mostly, except one large part, which again, we can put a pin in that and come back in a second. Because I want to see what?
I just said put a pin in it.
Oh, yeah.
I was repeating.
Because I also want to hear James's take, because he also lived in, the neighborhood for a while. So
yeah, I have a multi-layered take on this musical. Part of it has to do with just musicals in general for me. As you guys know, and gals, that I'm not a huge musical fan, and it takes a lot for me to really get into one. I think the last one, and usually it's because my family's forced me to watch it, or Chris has forced me to do it for homework. I think the last ones that I really kind of said, better than I thought, was the one with Hugh Jackman, The Greatest Show on Earth.
Greatest Showman.
Yeah, that one took me by surprise.
I didn't like that one.
It started off really terrible for me as far as the music numbers, but then there was like a story that I'm always looking for a story in these things, right? And then you throw the music, and that's when I kind of turn off for a bit, except for the second movie that really resonated with me was the one with Aladdin, the live action Aladdin. And for the first time, the music in that one to me was better than the narrative, but to the point where I was still, entertained. And both those movies, I didn't give them an A or whatever. I didn't give them high remarks, but for musicals, I thought they were pretty good. So this one hit me with a bunch of different things. One was the musical part, which because it is a live action musical. The second was the culture that it was based on, the Heights, supposedly Dominican, which I didn't feel it really was. And then the third part was this story, which Brooks forgot to mention, was actually supposed to be based on real life events in the early 2000s on the infamous Niagara Mohawk North American power outage in 2003, if I remember correctly. Summer 2003, the blackout that affected New York. So 3 things were happening here. One, unfortunately, my head could not turn off some of the facts about how the blackout started and how the neighborhoods were during that time period. Because I had friends and family members that are living in the area. My wife actually has friends that have been living there since the 90s and through her sisters and marriages. So the first things we were trying to explain to Serena, who had no clue, was explaining this is not what happened during that time. It was a lot of cops were there. Yeah, there was some people dancing and singing, but it wasn't like the entire Heights just said, hey, no power. Let's, that to me kind of turned me off. And unfortunately, I could not ignore that. But to the centerpiece, before we get to the musical, the centerpiece, which I think Brooks wanted to put a pin on, was the fact that, and I wasn't alone, but I was glad to see that there was articles about this to the point where Lin-Manuel had to issue formal declarations and apologies, where there was some colorism that was very obvious in this, me being from a Latin background as well, of different family members, much darker than me, much lighter than me. And also, when you really dig into it, most of the actors were not Dominican American or of Dominican descent. They were a mixture. So to me, In the Heights wasn't really so much about the Dominicans living in Washington Heights during 2003's blackout. It was more like a movie that was showcasing the Latin culture in a fictitious setting that was the Heights, around an event that caused people to react certain ways. So, but unfortunately, that took me in the third act before I could finally kind of accept it, right? These are not all Dominicans. This clearly there's a Puerto Rican playing Dominican, and some of the foods that they were selling is definitely not Dominican, and stuff like that. I think for me, it was too close to home for me to separate what I was seeing on screen from my own experience. Now, on the flip side, taking away what happened in 2003, taking away the colorism, because again, there was very, very few Dominicans that looked darker than me, is the musical itself, the content. I actually enjoyed the musical pieces in this, and I thought I wouldn't.
Me too. Yeah, me too.
I thought maybe because of my wife and my daughter were beating me in my head over their positivity, and I was falling to the hype. But no, I remember after it aired, I was kind of, Serena was singing, she already dabbled in the thing and she was playing it, and I was kind of humming to the tunes. And that's the part that I like about stuff like this. And Chris, you've known me for a bit now when it comes to these things. If you can give me a musical number that connects me to a form of I'm enjoyed by it, you've already won half the battle there. Now, if I need to feel upset about, how characters were displayed or how characters looked that were supposed to display to other than, then that's an intellectual conversation I can have about the movie without shitting on the movie. So I think, and I'm going long-winded here, is to me this was a threefold hit of a show that I watched that ultimately I liked because of the fact of the musical pieces to this.
Yeah, I think it's actually something that Lin-Manuel does really well, and that was the biggest takeaway from Hamilton also was the musical aspect and how he brings different cultures into it. So like in Hamilton, there was
freaking writing that shit down right now to sound really smart. And Brooksy goes and just takes it away. Just takes it away. Takes my point and just
Sorry.
Go for it.
Game six, Brooks.
Game 6, I know. In the film, Benny, who is the black dude that works at the taxi dispatcher, he is dating or dated, who is it? Nina? Is that her name? No.
Yeah. The daughter.
They talk about that they don't, in the musical, they talk about not wanting that to happen because they don't want their like pretty light-skinned daughter to date a black dude, right? That is a subject that is addressed. It is a subject that is like something that is a topic that is an issue within the Dominican community. So I know that, I know Lin-Manuel knows about it. He wrote about it. And then he was like, now that it's going to be on mainstream TV, I'm going to completely take this out. And to me, that was a big whitewashing of the movie, because when you look at the movie, like when you look at a lot of the extras, there are Black Dominicans in the background. Dancing, right. But then when you look at like a subject that was already written about, he takes that out. That's a form of whitewashing. It's like, oh, actually, no, there's no, it's a way of him saying there is no colorism in the Dominican Republic. You know what I mean? There is no issue of colorism. That's essentially what he was saying by taking that storyline out.
And not even whitewashing the storyline. What about prominent figures? And I think it took Kat to make me realize the most prominent character that was actual Dominican descent was the lady from Orange is the New Black. There was no other similar male or female character that was her stature in the entire, movie at her level or higher. And that's not, I'm not calling that whitewashing, but that goes back to the colorism. When you start changing, like imagine if they did something about the Haitian American Revolution and I'm the main actor in that, or my sister is the main actress in that.
But at least you're Haitian. But if you look at the history, we were not at the forefront of the revolution, at that time. It was the dark-skinned slaves. Absolutely. But they're in the Heights, almost nobody is actually Dominican that's playing the main characters. They're playing Dominican characters, but they are not Dominican.
Not actual Dominican.
But there are.
It's not 1956 anymore. You can't cast Cary Grant to play Dominican.
No.
Right. Or who was it that played
1956, try 1990s. They were still
1985, yeah.
Yeah.
If you look at the entire 5 or 6, 10 lines of top-notch names, Dasha's the only one from Dominican Republic or of Dominican descent. She's the only one. That's terrible.
From what I got from the movie, the setting was the main character was from Dominican Republic, but everybody was supposed to be this mixture of cultures coming together, like that.
That's not necessarily the Heights, though.
I know,
right?
But
the Heights is predominantly Dominican.
This is a magical musical world where Lin-Manuel Miranda writes a location based on what he knows, where all of these, and you saw it in the very last scene, where they have the Cubans and the Mexicans and the Dominicans and everybody's coming together and they're all doing their own special dances and they're all going back and forth. And it's this magic, happy place. Like it felt like the main character was supposed to be that, but it didn't, from an outside perspective. Now this is all this is, just watching a movie for me. It felt like this just magical, happy place where everybody from all these variety of cultures, different backgrounds, different mixes of backgrounds as the one girl goes through, her background of multiple different cultures, that it was just this mixed, beautiful smattering that they were all treated crappy.
And that's where the danger lies. Whether it's, again, I'm not saying it's whitewashing. I think it's a more dangerous thing is, let's say you have no history of what Washington Heights is. You're going to this movie thinking, wow, this is like an enclave of multiracial ethnic folks that live in this area. Totally missing the fact that that's not what they're trying to. Well, again, I don't know Lin-Manuel's true intent other than what he's telling me in the articles. Like, he missed the mark. Like, if I have a musical about Flatbush Church Avenue, Brooklyn, right, and I have one Haitian, one Trinidadian, one Jamaican, and a bunch of black dudes from LA, and this is my musical. And some of them are trying to use it, and I see this all the time. Like, most Haitians I see on TV are not Haitians. You could tell from the way that they're talking Creole. But I have black dudes from Georgia, from Miami, from LA, and they're all playing a role of Brooklyn and Flatbush, Brooklyn. And I'm watching this because I know better. But then my best friend, who's from Canada, has no clue. He has a wrong idea of what the area is like. He's seeing a Hollywoodized Disney version of this.
Well, that's the question is, how far is the biography level of our musical? How are we taking this? Like, do you expect that everybody in the musical be exactly what they say they are?
Let's look at Mulan.
The place has to look exactly like it.
How many of the actors of voice Mulan were actual Southeast Chinese or Asian and not Indian or Bangladesh or Hawaiian or South Pacific?
I think the main actress is specific. It happens, and if you look at all of these new movies set in Asia, Southeast Asia, China, you get that. You get a lot of that. But this is coming from a writer, a director, a producer, the actors
who knows better.
All of these people are participating in a trying to say, oh, this is part of our culture. Look how awesome it is. And then they step on the grenade.
And I don't want to poo-poo this movie because of this one issue, although it does bother me personally for a lot of different personal reasons. I still like the movie. I like the general story. I had some holes in the story too, like the lotto. That's one big hole. And some fictitious stories about the blackout. But the musical to me made me overcome all of that to say that I really enjoyed it, despite the colorism, despite, the underrepresentation.
All right. So I guess what I should say is we should give Mike a chance to talk. And
yes, Mike, you've been quiet. Come on.
And we'll move on from the cultural.
There's Guyanese Americans in the Heights too.
The very important cultural aspect of this movie, which is a really big part of it, and I'll just do a kind of a quick movie review as well. So, Mike, you take it away.
Well, for me, right off the bat, there's only one Heights, and that's Jackson Heights. So get out of here with this.
Oh,
wow.
No. So I understand musicals need to be usually about 3 hours long so people get their money's worth. But this movie, to me, while I enjoyed
2.5
it,
hours. 2.5 hours.
It was 2.5 hours. It didn't need to be 2.5 hours. Like, I didn't need a 5-minute song about the lotto in this movie.
Oh, that was the best song, though.
No. The best song for me and the best film song was the second to last one, When the Sun Goes Down. That was a great
I like
number.
that one. Yeah.
It was filmed beautifully when they were going up the side of the building and everything.
Oh, that's a moving set, by the way.
Yeah, I know how to do it.
So they create
it was done well. Yeah.
For anybody who doesn't know, they actually create a moving set so that the dancers can practice. They practice on regular set, but as they can move up and down, there's no CGI to the building, just the surroundings.
Yeah, and like James, I'm not really usually a big fan of musicals. I did enjoy Hamilton. There are a couple others I like. But I also grew up with Bollywood movies too, so I'm used to this kind of thing. Whereas every 5 minutes they break into song for no reason. So, but overall, I enjoyed the movie. I did see where people were complaining about the skin tone issue and the originality, the ethnicity of actors and characters, etc. But it didn't really disrupt my enjoyment of it overall. So,
All right, going back the other way, James, what's your review of the movie that you saw?
I enjoyed it. I'm ready for a grade. I enjoyed the movie. Again, I have to say that I know there were some issues in it that bothered me, and I asked a few of my friends who are actually Dominican, live in the area, and I had a mixed reaction from them. So once I took that in and went back to, my memories of the movie, I enjoyed the movie despite those issues.
Brooks?
I agree. Same. This is odd. Now I'm agreeing with James. I don't know what's happening today. I really enjoyed it. Like, I really enjoyed it as a musical, as a movie. I mean, yeah, I was comparing it to the original musical on Broadway. So I was trying to not focus on like the differences and the holes. But I think overall, I think it was great. I would watch it again. I really want some mofongo. I don't know where the hell I'm going to get that in LA. And yeah, I do wish, like James said, I wish there was more addressing of the colorism. But the other thing that I really liked was, I felt like all over my feed, social media, LinkedIn, everybody was talking about this movie and the pride in being Dominican. I feel like it brought that out a lot, and I really liked that. Like, it brought a spotlight onto Washington Heights and the Dominican culture. So that I thought was great.
All right. So for me, as Brooksy was saying before about the Lin-Manuel Miranda's writing, is what he does amazing is his flow is different than any other musical you've ever seen. So he is not the standard musical Alan Menken musical writer type thing.
I definitely like this style.
So and he has a background and ability to bring multiple types of music, multiple cultures in and out. Not just, I'm going to do it in this style this time. Like, he wrote some of the songs for Moana. So he that's a completely different culture. He went into that culture and used that as a song style. But in this case, he flowed depending on the character that was singing. He completely changed tempo. He completely changed the tone. Everything. He just was allowed to have full range of music, whether it's cultural or not to the person, or just a character piece to make that emotional connection with that character. So he's just so good at it. And his conversational flow, where he doesn't have to rhyme the last word, or any of that crap. It's just, he's allowed to move in and out of whatever terms and words work best for the situation and for the character. It's so good. And can we all just say the Abuela death scene was hurtful?
I was definitely choked up.
Hard to watch.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think that might have been my favorite scene in the entire
Well, it was just so cool because she's watching the kids having fun, and then it popped out and it goes into this history, her history, and it was a real interesting, story-wise, it was interesting sidestep to what was going on, and a first person view of the history of an immigrant coming to.
I know a lot of people in the Caribbean culture that had very similar experiences to her. So to me, it hit me in my heartstrings very personally when I saw that moment. And then I got pissed when I realized the lotto ticket, she never told him while she was still alive. The wife was like, no, she knew he was going to find. I was like, no, that's not. That's a suspense of disbelief I'm not going to have. But her death scene to me hit me personally. Yeah, that's my favorite moment. I almost was a little teary-eyed for that.
All right, let's go around and give grades. And if you feel like it, give her your favorite performer for this musical. Brooksy, grade, favorite performer.
I'm going to give the grade of a B plus. I think I'm going to go B plus, but mostly it would have gotten an A from me if they would have kept the storyline of The Stigma of Dating a Black Man. And my favorite actress was Nina Rosario.
All right, James.
My grade is going to be a B-. As much as I love the movie, I still have some issues with it. Just content-wise, also. I mentioned a couple with the background that's supposed to take place. So I can't give it a higher than a B-. And again, I have to say, like, we have to speak up for things, even if it's our own culture and we don't feel it's doing the best that it can. Mm-hmm. We can't just remain quiet, otherwise there'll never be any progress. So B- is my grade. My favorite performer was Anthony Ramos's character. Great actor, by the way. I've seen him in a lot of things before this, and he's going places.
He was really good in the camera shots. Like, he really felt connected to his character. I agree with that. So, all right, Mike.
It's gonna be a B for me. I did enjoy it overall. So, like I said, yeah, probably I'm with James. Probably with Snavi. What's his name again? Anthony Ramos. Mm-hmm. My favorite performer in this one.
All right, and I'm going with a full A. I do not have any of unfortunately the insights to the reality of the situation. So
if there's music and dancing, it's an A for Chris.
Go only purely on it, and it was fantastic.
Because Chris doesn't see race, that's why.
That's right.
Which is fine for him.
It's hard to. Never mind. I won't say that. No, I loved it. We were laughing, we were crying, we were the whole emotional range while we were watching it. And I'm gonna say Gregory Diaz, the kid who played Sonny, the cousin. I
almost forgot about
him. The young kid,
too, yeah.
the fifth.
Was afraid of getting deported.
Yeah.
It
was good.
The part where him and Corey Hawkins was Benny. When they were telling Usnavi he had no game, that whole section is probably just like my favorite. Him asking her out for him.
That's so good. That was so cute.
It was awesome.
I forgot about him.
He was great. He was great in the pool scene. He was great at the end when he had his emotional connection. It was good.
Yeah, it was good.
I also like that it was a subject that they did touch on, because it is a big subject that, you know, people are here either legally or undocumented that are afraid of like getting deported. And when I lived in the Heights, there was especially maybe it was like 2 years ago, I want to say, where there was it was right when Trump was towards the end of his presidency.
Don't say his name.
I know.
He who must not be named.
Yeah. He who shall not be named.
It's like Steve Colbert does it on his show.
There was so many signs all around Washington Heights of like what to do if ICE comes to your door, or if you see ICE or whatever. So, you know, I mean, it's a big subject. So I like that he actually did touch on that. But yeah, wish that he would have touched on the colorism as well.
All right, do better, Lin-Manuel. You heard it here.
Because we know you can. That's why.
Right.
You fail.
Very talented. You fail. All right. When we come back, we are going to the next family episode.
We're going to space, fools. Buckle up.
I'm going to turn off my brain and not care.
Coming to you on a rocket ship. Rocket Man. Welcome back, everybody. We're here to talk Fast 9, the Fast Saga. I had no idea that was the full name. The Fast Saga. What is that? All right. So this, of course, is the 2021 release, the ninth movie in the Fast Saga.
Not in
this time directed by Justin Lin, also written by Justin Lin and Daniel Casey. And you know, starring Triple X, Michelle Rodriguez, Jordana Brewster, Tyrese Gibson, Ludacris, Natalie Emmanuel, Charlize Theron. I'm not going to go down this entire list because it's a really long list. And welcome back, Han.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
You've heard of this. You've seen this, right? You know what that is.
It is unavoidable. It is your destiny.
Is this not why you are here?
Do or do not. There is no try.
Knock that shit off.
So we are
spoiler
going to go directly to the fan to tell us what the hell did I just watch. Brooksy, this is your episode. What the hell happened?
First of all, I just would like to say that this was definitely an A+ movie for me.
Somewhere Lin-Manuel Miranda's crying. Look ahead.
Sad.
Okay, here's the thing that everyone seems to forget when they watch these movies. You're not watching it for realism. You're not watching it for like a great acting. You're not watching it for like
plot,
a realistic
so what am I watching it for?
Storyline. You are watching it to see how like crazy it can get, right? To see how they just take every movie to the next level. And it is all about family. And that's the part that I like the best. They always bring everything back to family. And
especially
that's
when they left their daughter
important.
in the barn while they went out and did their superhero.
No, they said Brian was watching.
Oh, he's watching his kid and his.
Yeah, Brian's been relegated to permanent babysitter in this franchise now. So,
but I thought Brian was like hiding. He's hiding from the government. So why are we?
He's not hiding from the government.
He's not hiding from the government. He's retired the lifestyle to become a father.
All right.
Oh, dude, that makes so much more sense now. I'm literally just assuming I'm like, Brian,
except for the part about a brother showing up that we just met in the 9th movie, but this whole saga's been about family.
But wait, I was like, isn't Brian the kid's name? How is that working? I'm very confused.
We interrupted you.
Keep going.
Brian, as in Paul Walker. So Brian O'Connor, Paul Walker. The baby is named after Brian.
Right.
The uncle, Brian O'Connor, Paul Walker, is watching.
Okay. Makes more sense now. Makes more sense.
Dom's baby, Brian. Okay. Right.
And Mia interrupted her tuna sandwich making to go help out this time.
To help out because it's her brother who we've never heard about before. So she had to be involved.
Right.
Yes.
Family.
See, you guys get it. See?
Yeah, we get it. Doesn't mean it's good.
Family.
Well,
let me start right off the bat. As a fan of the first movie and Fast 5 and Furious 7, like this was just utter nonsense to me. So like it got
a little ridiculous. Like when Luda and Tyrese were literally cruising around in space looking for a satellite.
I loved how he was
steering. When he was
like
steering,
they're literally cruising around. He's like, hey, and then like Luda says something and Tyrese is like, I got this, I'm the driver or something. And I'm like, you're driving in space. Like, what is
Did I miss it? Did they say something about Elon Musk because he's the one who put a real?
No. I mean, Brooks, to your point about how ridiculous each film gets in a saga, I agree with you. You know, that's the only entertainment I get out of these to see what are you gonna do next. But then when you start doing Deadpool meta talk on me about you acknowledging how ridiculous this is and how you guys have never died, to me it's like, okay, now you just insulted me. Like I was with you in the let's just drive across another building, let's just go to space. When you actively point out within the story, you as a character acknowledge all the things you've done in the saga and how ridiculous it is. Now I'm like, oh, come on, dude. Like, why do you have to even have this conversation?
There's no tension anymore. You're not worried about if the character's going to get hurt or die.
I'm not worried about that. I mean, Charlize, just to James's note, Charlize Theron did the exact same thing, which she pointed out. If this was a movie, this would be the point in which the bad guy, I was like,
she was playing an antagonist. She was playing somebody that wasn't part of the main core cast.
She was just there.
She was just there as like a throwaway villain.
Yeah.
And I don't know how this movie ends, but to me, her villain is probably one of the worst ones since the ones in Tokyo Drift.
By the way,
no. There's one worse villain than her, and that's Vin Diesel.
What?
Huh?
There's one worse. Vin Diesel was the worst.
Was
the worst villain.
Was that Fast
Oh, and Fast 8.
Eight.
Yeah.
Fast 8. Fast 8. Yeah, he's terrible. He's terrible.
Yeah.
But
Because that's when he discovers he has his son.
Yeah, but the conversation I'm having about these guys actively talking about and discussing, to me, it was just like a slap in my face. Like, okay, now I can no longer just enjoy it just for the sheer, shit that's gonna happen. Now I gotta understand that this guy knows that the shit that they're doing doesn't make any sense, and I still have to play along with it. I didn't like that they had the comment. They could have just cut that whole scene out, and I wouldn't have been as upset as Mike is, because I'm not ready to be that upset. But I still like the choreography and CGI. I still like that, and that's what I wanted to get.
The
So far, I'm
stunts,
getting
the
it.
explosions.
I'm getting that. And I like that part, but I don't like the fact that they now acknowledging this is ridiculous. We don't need to wear seatbelts. We can just fly our cars around, land on each other, and then Letty looks at them. Ooh, that's a new one. And I'm like,
oh, I hated that line. Gosh, damn it!
Like, why? Like
it's
now they're actively acknowledging how stupid the franchise is.
Like give me a cool. You're gonna do stupid cool things. Give me a cool line. Give me a cool one-liner to repeat when you do stupid shit. Like the one weird thing is I find there's memorable stunts, but no memorable lines. I mean, family.
Not since Fast Five. Not since Fast Five, and that's because of Rock. To me, because of
also the MacGuffins in this movie keep getting dumber and dumber.
What's this one? I don't even know. But I know
this one was what was it? Ares could control any weapon in the world.
Okay. So
what's next? Cobra Commander, World Dominator, control the weather.
What are the parts that we found fun in this movie? So there's got to be something that you watched.
Skip me, because I haven't been there yet. Skip me.
Was there any part that you did find entertaining or fun or just new that you hadn't seen before?
Yeah, I still enjoyed the banter between Tyrese and Ludacris, right? That was still good, fun, good stuff. Overall, the scene with where they're chasing down the truck at the end to stop the Ares was fine. They got a little ridiculous with the whole magnets thing, but whatever.
See, I found the magnets thing more interesting because it is new. The dragging the magnet, dragging the car through the building, and not
as bad as a bank vault in Brazil.
Except that once I found out they actually built a thing for cars it wasn't just a CGI. I was much more impressed, and I was much more into it. Whether it was a hollow wood, it didn't matter. Whatever they made it out of, whether there was a truck in it or not, the fact that they made this big thing and they literally drove it through the streets made it immediately more interesting to me.
Roger that.
So I know I complained about that on text chat when I was watching it. It's ridiculously stupid, but allowing
Helen Mirren is apparently a stunt driver now.
Allowing myself to open up to it. Yeah, everybody's a stunt driver.
Yeah.
But okay, so for my take on this is that I don't care about Vin Diesel. Like, he is the absolute worst person in this franchise that I care nothing about.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not a fan. So I'm not coming at this from a person who otherwise loves the franchise. This franchise is missing Paul Walker, and I hate to say it. He gave a face and a personality to this that poor Vin Diesel cannot carry. Going into if you've watched this movie or if you haven't watched this movie, they delve a lot into the past of Vin Diesel, his father, and his brother, who is the big villain here. So, like, the big family story bit actually just took me right out of it, because I don't care about Vin Diesel one iota. Like, I like the first Fast and Furious. I like the Paul Walker versus Vin Diesel thing. That worked, but it worked because Paul Walker made something that made Vin Diesel's kind of stoic delivery something for it to bounce off of, right?
Yeah.
Like, do you guys remember Iron Fist and what's his name?
James doesn't like where you're going.
Where is he going?
No, what was the other Power Man name?
Oh, Luke Cage.
Luke Cage. Do you remember how those two together, boring separately, but together they actually had some sort of interesting chemistry?
Yes,
like that's the same thing here, where Vin Diesel needs someone to have interesting chemistry with him, and unfortunately, it's not Miss Rodriguez. She's not providing it. I don't know why. I like her in almost everything else, but like one thing I've said about this franchise for me is I find none of the romantic relationships interesting whatsoever, and I don't find they're boring. There's like nothing there for this sexy ass franchise. This is like the most boring relationship.
The best one was, and I hate to say it, was Gal Gadot and Han's character.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that too.
Because it was kind of weird.
Even the return of Han in this was so like bland. You know what I mean? Like there was no enthusiasm from his character in this movie. He was just there like, hey, I'm back, you know? See I know where you're going with Vin Diesel. Like even when he plays off The Rock, when Dwayne Johnson is in it, it's better.
Right. Well, Johnson is providing all of the personality for this, and it gives
him
that
to bounce off.
Yeah. It gives that stoic, tough guy something to go against, which is, but even that is dwarfed by when The Rock and Statham.
Yeah.
Like that is fire. That is great chemistry. That is awesome back and forth. And Diesel just isn't providing enough or isn't getting enough from somebody else. I don't know. So I hate to say it, but that's really what I think of this movie.
No, that's great feedback.
Too much
I thought about it and watching Fast 8. Like I'm like Vin Diesel's reaching the point where this character is no longer like
it's
anymore.
Not interesting. Yeah,
and his surrounding folks are like maybe slightly below him, but at least you've seen evolution of like Ludacris and Tyrese to the point where now they're just about top billing.
Mm-hmm.
And then now you're focusing on the villain being the most exciting. Charlize was supposed to rejuvenize the franchise. Kurt Russell was supposed to bring some juice to it, and Scott Eastwood. And they throw all these characters to rejuvenate a franchise to get it to where it was in Fast 5.
So bad.
But I see what they were trying to do. The Rock realized really I can't get along with this dude. Let me do the spinoff with Jason Statham with their own thing, very successful. And then we come back to this one, and again, I have the least information to you guys, so I can't really say too much negative, other than the fact that you're right. The entire Vin Diesel moments of this has been the worst part that I've watched so far. The backstory, his mumble growling now is at epic levels. I think he's trolling himself. Like, I have to turn the volume up when he's talking.
We've gone hard on this movie. We're gonna give Brooksy a chance for
Brooksy
some rebuttal.
Go ahead.
All right. So I saw this movie in the theater, which is the best way you have to see Fast and Furious or Fast Saga movies, I should say, is in the theater. They are meant to be watched in the theater. Then you can later watch them on TV, but you have to watch this in the theater. 2, it's already made $5 billion.
Oh, it's popular. You'll not
worldwide.
Fight against the popularity. This thing just crushes. Crushes.
I think the other thing, I actually do agree that some of the best chemistry was between Paul Walker in general and a lot of the other characters, but Brian O'Connor. But unfortunately, as we all know, rest in peace, he has passed away. The other thing that I liked in this movie is that they had several nods to him. Like, it's not just that he's disappeared from the franchise and gone away. And I think that really speaks to the family atmosphere that you see in these movies. And that's something that I really like, is I feel like you can mostly tell that they actually enjoy working together. And I feel like I can see that chemistry. But Chris, I agree with you. Again, this is really weird for me. The chemistry between Dom and Letty, it's never really been there as far as a ride or die. Yeah,
it's terrible.
It's not great.
And I really, because I love Gina Rodriguez in other things, so I got to blame him. I think they've tried to replace Paul Walker. They've brought back the discount Paul Walker, which is the guy from
I like that.
Tokyo Drift.
Trying to bring him back.
I hated him. Like I thought he was boring and dull and whatever.
Oh, Lucas. Yeah.
And
I like seeing his cameo again with Bow Wow. That was cool.
And then
I did too, because you bring them all back together. Like they always bring back people in the franchise. They never forget about people.
So the thing is, they brought him back for 2 minutes, but they should have really used him more in this.
No, don't. He's bad. Don't use him more.
No, we disagree. I disagree with you on that one.
And then they tried.
You disagree with who?
They
With
tried.
Chris.
They tried Scott Eastwood. They tried to do the Scott Eastwood thing,
That was
and
terrible.
that was bad because he's bad. Don't do Scott Eastwood either. Like stop
little nobody.
Stop looking for these replacement sub-basements Paul Walker white dudes, and just find somebody with personality and interest, like that responds to the camera that he can bounce off of. Like I think Vin Diesel has taken this as like, this is my franchise.
And that's why The Rock was like, the hell with this shit.
Right.
And keep your franchise.
Did they really have beef?
Yeah, it's real.
It's real. What's the story there?
It's real because of no one was asking, but Vin Diesel, as part of marketing this movie, had a GQ magazine where he brought it up. He was like, well, I approached the movie this way, and unfortunately he approached it a different way. And, we hashed it out and we made the movie as good as it was, and then we split our ways. So to me, it's like you're not trying to like get them back and get the people what they want. You just are admitting to the fact that you guys had an issue, and you're fine in moving your own paths. So there was a real beef there. There's a real beef there.
Mean, he was playing the straight man to somebody else's personality-driven character, and it works. He obviously is missing that as a big runner. This whole Dom's backstory just doesn't do it. I don't know. Unfortunately,
it is a little interesting that, to your point earlier, that it is a movie about family, and in movie 9, we're all of a sudden introduced to.
That's what I was trying to say.
I know, Vin Diesel's brother, and we're supposed to believe, like, I don't even want to say we're supposed to believe they're brothers, but it's like John Cena. I don't know.
John Cena's
we can't get The Rock, so we're gonna get John Cena.
Well, John Cena's trying to break in. He's following the Dave Bautista and The Rock.
Yeah, but in the flashback, they must have been like already in their late 19, early 20s.
And they look nothing.
And he looked like a tiny boy compared to.
He went from 5'6" to like 6'5".
So he was roided up.
They really kind of weirded. And I don't mind I thought John Cena, but I wish they had let John Cena be more interesting. They were like, okay, John Cena, you have to act like Vin Diesel. And it was the worst decision because we've seen John Cena in other things, and he has range, he has comedy timing.
Who's creative minds other than Vin Diesel behind these last couple of Fast Furious movies?
Justin, the director.
Justin Lin.
Lin.
But the visuals are great. But
that's not the issue. Yeah.
But I don't know, whatever it just wasn't, and maybe it's just me. If I was a huge fan of the series and I cared about Vin Diesel's character at all, maybe, but I don't. And I think there's a big chunk missing that they were filling with The Rock or Jason Statham or those guys, because they're not letting Tyrese and Ludacris come up to that position. Those two are kept to their thing, which is
comic
cool.
relief.
They've given them more to do. They've made them. Tyrese is given more to do and whatnot.
What about the black girl who's the computer hacker? She got some. I saw very little of her.
She's like a second. She's like a secondary to Ludacris now. She's just rides in his seat next to him.
He drives and she goes, "I'll break through the firewall."
Right, but they're not even let Gina Rodriguez take the position. She's
Michelle Rodriguez.
Michelle Rodriguez.
Oh, sorry, I don't know why I keep saying Gina. Michelle. Yeah, but Michelle Rodriguez. It's not like they said, "Hey, we're gonna give you a much bigger part." She is just literally his wife, and then she like says something, and he saves her by putting his car under her or something like that when she gets in trouble. Like it doesn't feel like she's given the hey, we've got this big opening, that's missing in this franchise.
So she's been part of the marketing top notch. Like she's been
I know,
right
but
next to
like
Vin Diesel.
what I saw in the movie, I wasn't seeing her as like the co-lead. It was 100% the Diesel show.
No, from the first movie down, yeah, it just down, you know?
No, from the first movie, 5 went up. 5 is still my favorite.
I think it swam upstream for a while, and then I don't know. 8. The last one I thought had really high bits, but Charlize Theron, who is amazing most of the time, I wasn't feeling her bad guy.
A 9 or an 8? You mean
8? But maybe that's because she did the I'm gonna make Vin Diesel the bad guy, which again he wasn't pulling that off for me. So like
she had the white girl on vacation dreads.
and
And when she switched to baby Chris haircut, she was cooler.
that's Mo from Three Stooges, right?
Yeah,
there.
you should. Mike, you can show that picture if you really feel like it. You can show that baby picture.
Oh, I will. Don't worry.
All right, we should give grades. I know we kind of took over. Sorry, Brooksy.
That's okay. It's probably better to hear from you guys because I just am not going to say really many bad things about the movie. Yeah.
You love it. It's good that you love it. It's good to have a positive voice.
Passionate about it. It's good.
Positive.
We hear speak. We speak our passion and trying to debate it.
That's right. All right. So Brooksy, give everybody your grade again.
A+.
Thank you very much. James.
So far incomplete, but I'm going to C-. C-.
Boo.
Hope it gets better, but I don't think so.
All right. Mike.
So I've seen the whole thing, and it's D for doo-doo.
That's the first D you've given all year? Wow.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think that is.
No, what did you give Snyder? What did you give the Snyder cut?
That might have been a D plus.
Yeah.
All right. I was struggling over this one, but the more I talk about how much this like hangs on Vin Diesel, the worse my grade gets. And then I think, and then I'm like,
D for Diesel.
But then I'm like, Tyrese in space, and I like go up a little bit. But I think I'm gonna match James and go C-.
This is a podcast, remember.
C-. Yeah, God, like please, for the next one, Dom, get a partner, please.
Stop ordering white people off of Wish.com.
Yes,
wow.
No more Wish.com white people.
Wow.
Does he even audition these guys anymore? He
just come on. Just somebody with personality. Please.
Is he friends with Bradley Cooper from Guardians of the Galaxy?
Wow.
Bradley Cooper
no Bradley Cooper.
Dead in that film.
Bradley Cooper wishes he was invited to the film.
Oh, please.
Wow.
No, Bradley Cooper's hanging out with Lady Gaga, so I think he's good. No, I don't know. Like off the top of my head, I can't think of a specific actor to fill the gap. But.
Like I know we're going long here, but if you want to cast, let's just say you want to cast a white person to play off of Vin Diesel,
up and coming, right? Up and coming.
Like it doesn't have to be white, but whatever. Who would you cast, and who would they be in this movie?
Well, you got to have someone with that just exudes. Like that's why The Rock worked, and Paul Walker, though he's a guy that looks at the camera and he smiles and everybody
he's charming.
He's charming. That's the word I was looking for.
I was gonna say Conor McGregor, but he's not charming.
No.
But he is ultra confident.
Ultra confident, but nothing else. Like
even what's his face from the Sonic movie and the X-Men movie? What's his face?
Oh gosh,
the Prince.
No, I can't do Cyclops.
No,
he's past. He's already, I mean, he's might as well go back to Bradley Cooper then.
What about the guy from Baby Driver?
Oh, the young
kid.
Young?
Yeah, he's young.
He's all right.
Aaron Egerton? Is it Egerton?
No, that's the dude from the
That's Solo.
Kingsman. That's a Kingsman guy.
Kingsman guy. Yeah, no, he's not enough.
He's annoying to me. I don't know why.
Timothy Chalamet.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't. He doesn't exude personality to me. He's one of those.
What about what's his name? Jesse from Breaking Bad.
Oh.
No.
He's
no.
I like them in
old.
that Speed movie that he did.
Oh.
No.
Oh
You know what
man.
I'm talking about. That was a good one.
Yeah.
I think we need to take this to another pod of
I
what's
think
our plot and our cast for F10.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the internet should tell us what they think.
He'd be great as a bad guy turned good for the family.
What is the filler? The filler for
he's the
Paul
cousin
Walker's
of the other
missing
guy
piece.
who was related to
The
the
guy
other.
who was killed in the first movie. Remember the guy was running with the bomb?
There
Who
you
got
go.
shot up in the first movie?
Yeah.
What's his name? Jesse's his older cousin who's coming back to.
What about the guy who just played Benny in The Heights?
Young Dr. Dre.
And
Yes.
Kind of liked him. Thought he was.
We'll have to think
All right.
about this one.
All right, yeah, it's a good question because
shit,
you
just
need
go full
somebody.
Hispanic. Get Andre Ramos, the lead from U.S. Navy, who's snobby.
Yes.
Not it.
Get him. Why not?
Yeah, he would look good in the camera. All right, we'll figure it out. The internet will take care of it for us. All right, Mike, where can everybody find us and respond to our question?
Yep, you can reach us on social media at Heroes Peak, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that bell in the corner and let us know what you think in the comment section. Leave a comment below and we definitely will look at it and most likely respond.
That's right.
Depends how much weed I've had for the night.
All right, everybody. Don't worry, it's legal there. We will see you soon. Thank you for joining us.
Good night,
Have
everyone.
a good week.
Ciao.